Welcome to Remix Moments with Martine, where we will remix your mindset one moment at a time. I'm your host, Martine Williams, and I'm here to bring you a quick burst of inspiration, insight, and a fresh spin on your mompreneur journey. In just a few minutes, we'll remix your mindset, energize your day, and keep you moving forward with purpose. Let's dive in to today's moment. Well, hello, friends. I am so excited to connect with you today and to introduce to you a new episode that is going to be dropping for you every single week. So on Mondays, you're going to want to come back to this podcast because I am remixing how I drop my episodes, and you're still going to be able to hear from amazing mompreneurs and other interviews on Thursdays. But as I've been thinking about just how I can show up for you, and there's just moments sometimes that happen during the day or in my coaching sessions, either from my coach or with my coaching clients or at church or while I'm on the boat. There are just moments where I have these thoughts or I have this idea or I have this perspective or I have this story to share. And I want to be able to share that with you. I want it to be just like you and I are sitting down having a cup of coffee, and I'm just kind of sharing with you. And the funny thing is, Remix Moments with Martine is what I'm going to be calling it. And I remember years ago when I was still with 31, there was a peer of mine. And every time we would meet in person for like our national conference or a leadership retreat or a leadership conference, she would always come over and she was like, I need a moment with Martine. Like, I really cherish my moments with Martine. And that has just always stuck with me. And if she's listening to the show, shout out to you for the inspiration of this podcast title. But I really want to give you those moments. I really want to share with you what's going on, in my mind, what's going on in my heart, maybe what some things the Lord is working on in and through me, and things I'm learning, things I'm challenged by. And I just don't have the opportunity to always do that when I'm interviewing people. And true confession, it is a lot easier for me to just interview people because I'm so curious about people and I love hearing their stories and I love bringing those stories to you here on the podcast. And so I've kind of been just defaulting to that. And while I've been enjoying it, like I have so many topics or just so many things that are on my mind and things I'm personally working through or have worked through that I know many of you could benefit from. And so I'm titling it Remix Moments with Martine. And we're going to be remixing your mindset one moment at a time. And so this is going to be every Monday, and I'm really excited about it. So you're going to want to come back to this podcast on Monday. I will be sending you emails to remind you of this as well. But I hope you're excited because, again, this is just kind of getting a moment with me and hearing what's going on with me, and maybe on a level that I'm not able to do on the interviews. So today I wanted to just share with you about a conversation that I had with a friend of mine, and she was here coming to speak. Her name, I've had her on the podcast. Her name is Karis Snyder, and she was here to speak. She speaks on anxiety and how to cope with anxiety. And she was here speaking at a couple of our local schools. Highly recommend her if you have a school or organization that you really want to highlight anxiety and how to overcome anxiety. What are some best practices for anxiety? Like, she's written devotions and books, and we'll put links to all of those in the show notes. But she was here visiting and she was speaking at a couple of our local schools. And she woke up the morning of one of her speeches and she's like, and I said, how are you feeling? Are you nervous? Like, as a fellow speaker, I understand that, we still get nervous, y'all. Even if we know ourselves, we still get nervous. And she said, it just feels easy. It just feels easy this morning. And so it kind of feels uncomfortable. And I've just been really thinking about that. Why do we overcomplicate our lives and our businesses? Like, I think this is something that I've been giving a lot of thought to as I've been working through some of my seasons personally and professionally. But are we addicted to the hard? Like, why does easy feel hard? Why is it uncomfortable for us? How can we, as ambitious mompreneurs, find comfort in the ease and the simple? And so that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. And Confucius says life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. Why is that? Do you do that? Do you find yourself doing that? Like, do you find yourself like, because either you've just practiced your skill or your craft so well that it just feels like it's easy, and you're like, I don't know what to do with that because you're just used to the hustle. I remember when I first kind of got better at delegating and hired an assistant, and I had some free time. And I remember like coming to my coach and just talking about how weird it felt to not feel like I was constantly performing, constantly doing, and always had, all of these things in my time blocks. And my default was just to fill it with more work, right? And she was like, no, like you're delegating so that you can spend more time either doing things you want to do or that only you can do in your business, right? So but I remember that feeling, the same feeling that Karis felt when she was like, this just feels weird because it feels too easy. I know someone can relate to that feeling. And so when we feel that, it's like, then we start to overcomplicate. Like it shouldn't be this simple. So how can I overcomplicate it? How can I add another step? How can I add another thing to my list to do? How can I add a new way? Like just constantly trying to hustle and struggle. And so as I was thinking about this, here were some key points that I started thinking about on why we may overcomplicate things. And the first one was perfectionism. So many of us strive for perfection, which leads to overthinking and overcomplicating the simplest of tasks. The desire to do everything flawlessly can turn straightforward tasks into overwhelming ones. Do y'all feel that? I definitely feel that sometimes showing up for me. And I think it was, what's her name that wrote the book? I know that helps you a lot. Like the woman who wrote the book. Brene Brown. She said, perfectionism is not the same thing as striving to be your best. Perfectionism is the belief that if we do things perfectly, we can minimize or avoid the pain of blame, judgment, and shame. That's pretty powerful when you think about it. And I talk about perfectionism with my one-on-one clients a good bit just because it can be such a blocker to success and progress when you're trying to do everything perfect. But is perfectionism showing up? And maybe that's why you're overcomplicating. Is it fear of failure? Like the fear of making mistakes can cause us to overanalyze and overprepare. Like we complicate things to avoid failure. But in doing so, we create unnecessary obstacles. Like someone, I'm reading your mail right now. That is definitely going on for you. Another one is just information overload with so much information available to us. Again, Google, AI, Facebook, Instagram, like it's so easy to get caught up in researching every option, which can lead to paralysis by analysis. I can be in that camp so easily. And this can make the simplest of decisions feel daunting. Bruce Lee says it's not the daily increase, but the daily decrease, like hack away at the unessential. And I've been doing this, y'all. If you didn't know, I'm not on social media. I haven't been on social media since March. I haven't had any alcohol in almost a year now. And so I've just been slowly hacking away at the unessentials in my life, the things that are just either busy work, they're just things on my list to do, just really learning the art of essentialism because of information overload. The fourth one is like why we overcomplicate is comparison trap. Like we're constantly comparing ourselves to the other mompreneur next to us or the one we see on social media. And that can make us feel inadequate, leading us to believe that we need to do more or be more, which complicates our lives unnecessarily. This takes you into proving energy. And I'll do a whole other episode on proving energy and confident energy. But this is a number one thing that my clients struggle with is trying to prove themselves versus stand confident. And so they overcomplicate, they overwork. Another one could be just lack of clarity. Like it's overcomplicated when our goals or our tasks are not clearly defined. We tend to overcomplicate them. Clarifying and getting clarity simplifies decision making and action taking. So maybe you just need to get clearer on some things. And then of course, mindset, beliefs like hard work is the only way to success. Or if it's easy, it's not valuable. What are your beliefs about hard work? What are your beliefs about struggle? What are your beliefs about being in simplicity and ease? because those things can cause you to resist the simplicity and make things more difficult than they need to be. Like, are you addicted to the hard? Is that just what you have learned is the way it should always be? So some stats that I came across that I thought were interesting as far as perfectionism, that the American Psychological Association found that perfectionism has increased by 33% over the past 30 years, leading to higher levels of anxiety and stress. According to the study published in the National Academy of Sciences, people make worse decisions as the day goes on due to decision fatigue, which can lead to overcomplication. 49% of entrepreneurs experience at least one mental health condition during their career, with anxiety and burnout being the most common. This can be linked to the tendency to overcomplicate tasks and put too much pressure on yourselves. 40% or multitasking can reduce productivity by 40%. All right, all my multitaskers out there. You're trying to juggle multiple tasks at once. It can lead to inefficiency and overcomplication of the simplest tasks. And it reduces your productivity by 40%. Like, let that sink in. The average adult makes about 35,000 remotely conscious decisions each day. So that cognitive load from making so many decisions can lead to that decision fatigue, which causes, like, y'all get it, like even the simplest of decisions feel overwhelming and complex. Perfectionism also increases the levels of stress, anxiety, and depression. Striving for perfection can make even the simple task feel difficult and burdensome. And imposter syndrome, it shows up. I've been an entrepreneur for 17 years. It still shows up for me. But a study published in the Journal of Behavioral Science found that 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their lives. This can lead to overcomplicating tasks as people feel the need to prove, there's that word again, prove themselves by making things harder than they need to be. So just some practical tips that I thought of as I was thinking through this process was focusing on the priorities. Like, remind yourself of what really matters and let go of the rest. What are the essentials in your business? What are the essentials in your life for the season that you're in right now? Focus on those priorities. Embrace imperfection. Understand that good enough is often better than perfect, and done is definitely better than perfect. Simplify. Break tasks into smaller, manageable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. Leonardo da Vinci says simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Like, what if you just held on to that thought? Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And Richard Branson says complexity is your enemy. Any fool can make something complicated. It is hard to keep things simple. So one of my mottos for myself and for my coaching clients is, how simple can we make this? Like, literally, how simple can we make this? And that's a thought that helps to combat the feeling of, oh, this feels too easy, so it can't be right. Or this feels easy, I must be doing something wrong. It's just, we've been conditioned to the hustle, y'all. And the last one, practical tip, is to trust yourself. Like, rely on your intuition and experience instead of overanalyzing every decision. So, what are your thoughts? I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these new quick episodes, 15 minutes or less, and on the topic of today. So I hope you enjoyed this. This was fun for me just to kind of share what's going on in my brain, what's going on my mind, what things I'm thinking through, and come and let me know. You can email me at martine@martinewilliams.com. I'm in the DM still on Instagram if you want to go to Martine at Martine31Williams. And I can't wait to catch you on the next episode. Well, that's it, friends, for this remix moment. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me, and I hope that you are feeling inspired and ready to take on whatever comes your way. Remember, even small moments can lead to big changes. If this moment made a difference, be sure to subscribe, share with your fellow moms, and leave me a quick review. Seriously, it means the world to me to hear from you. And until next time, I am believing in you, and I will catch you in the next moment.